Yes, people, welcome to the 8th episode of the Backpacking Psychonaut. This is interesting because getting 8 episodes through, I read somewhere that 90% of podcasts only get to 3 episodes. So we're in the top 10% of podcasts now. So let's fucking keep smashing it, keep working, and let's grow the Backpacking Psychonaut. But in this episode, I want to talk about social media and the destructive, habitual nature of people who are just constantly using social media and suffering from mental health problems like anxiety and depression, and how they're just wasting their life using these platforms that have been perfectly designed to keep you as addicted to them as possible. And there's a lot of ways we can talk about this and a lot of things we can dive into, but I think we should get straight in with like why we have mental health problems from social media and what we can do about it. So when you use social media, right, you're looking at the highlights of others, so especially the platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and even YouTube to a certain extent. You go on there and you see these like highlights of people living their perfect lives, and you seem to forget that that's not their actual life. That's just their happy moments. 90% of people's lives are just the mundane stuff like brushing your teeth, going out, fucking walking to work, doing whatever. But obviously people, when they go on Instagram and Facebook, they're going to show the best highlights of themselves. So subconsciously, even if you consciously know that you're watching the highlights of others, subconsciously your brain is comparing yourself to these other people's highlights, because from an evolutionary point of view, we have evolved to be in constant comparison, because that's what helps us adapt our behaviors and survive out in the world and pass on our genes. So it's really sneaky how these social media platforms have dug into our evolutionary psychology, and they've found out ways to constantly wanting to be comparing ourselves to others. It's even like the like button, for example. So this was designed with a purpose to get people to have that dopamine hit of feeling like they're wanted and needed by people. So they design this like button, and then people's self-worth gets deemed by this like button. So they'll post a selfie out there, or they'll post a photo of them, and if they don't get enough likes, that will then make their self-esteem worse, and they use social media to get out of that negative mindset. But if you get a lot of likes, say if you get 200, 300 likes, then your self-esteem goes up, and then you want to keep posting more to get that self-esteem hit. You want to constantly be getting the little dopamine spikes that have been hijacked in your brain by the social media companies. And these dopamine spikes that are constantly being like thrown at you from scrolling through their platforms, this is perfectly designed to get you as addicted as possible. You go on their platform, you scroll through these algorithms that are perfectly designed to show you what you want to see, and then you get these dopamine spikes. And for those that don't know, dopamine is kind of like the motivation hormone. It's like what makes you constantly want to do more. So you go on there, you see something, you get a little dopamine spike. And what happens is then, because your body wants and your brain wants these dopamine spikes, it carries on doing the behavior that gives it a rewarding system. So you scroll through Instagram, you see a post, oh, dopamine spike. But then that dopamine spike makes you want to continue down that platform. And then all you're doing is solidifying the habitual nature of going on social media and constantly getting stuck in the algorithms. And this translates into your life due to like, you can't focus properly because like, say if you need to sit down and study for university, or say if you want to record a podcast or read a book, you go on there and the dopamine spikes aren't as stimulating as the ones you're getting on social media. So it's really hard to concentrate. And in a world where we're living now, where focus and attention is the biggest asset we have, our time is our most valuable asset. And if we can send our focus into something productive, we will excel at that. But now the social media companies are taking away our attention. And like, why do you think these platforms are free to use? Like, they're free to use to a certain extent, but what we're giving up in return is our time. And we can always make more money, we can always make more of this, all the material stuff's fine, we can make more of it, but your time is your most valuable asset. And if you give into the social media companies, if you fall into their platforms, then eventually you're going to lose your focus, lose your time, and you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve. And it's a real big problem that we're dealing with, where like people are just spending so much time on social media. Like, it's not unheard of now for people to be spending 12 hours a day, 8 hours a day on social media. Like, how fucking crazy is that? You're never going to get anywhere in life if you're spending upwards of a couple of hours a day on social media, because that is valuable time that someone else is utilizing to grow and achieve at something. And a lot of people use social media to alleviate suffering. So like, you've had a hard day, you done with just being yourself for the day, right? Things have gone wrong, you're not as confident as you want to be, you're out of shape, and you get the illusionary sense that if you go on social media, makes you forget about your problems. But in reality, it just makes them worse. It makes you push off your problems, not deal with them. And then it's subconsciously comparing yourself to the highlights of others. And yeah, they also do stuff like split testing. So these social media companies are so crafty because they're spending billions and billions of pounds to try and get you as addicted as possible, as I said before. So they do this thing called split testing where they have like a certain part of their website, like the like button, it might be just the way the interface looks. And what they'll do is they'll have like 18 different, let's say like they'll have like 50 different ways of showing you this interface. And what happens is then they will use all the data for how long people spend on that interface, what buttons they click on, what their activity levels are, and they'll get all this data from your behaviors on social media, and they'll find out which is the best for conversions for you spending the most amount of time on that platform, and then they'll utilize that. So they're constantly split testing, they're constantly evolving, and they're constantly finding ways to dig into your dopamine receptors, dig into the evolutionary psychology of our brain, and get as addicted as possible. And it's evil. It really is evil because they know what they're doing. And they know that like the attention economy now, if they can get your attention, they can sell advertisements to you. So I probably should explain that like the way social media companies work is because their platforms are free, because they're free to use, they sell you advertisements, and the more data they have on you, the more time you spend on their platforms, the more they can sell you advertisements that are like directly what you want to see. So say if you're on Facebook or on your Google, and they all share data as well. So say if you're on Google and you're searching up, oh, I want a new mountain bike. They all collect this data and then they start selling advertisements for you for stuff for mountain bikes, this mountain bike, the pedal for a mountain bike, oil for a mountain bike, whatever it may be, right? And they start targeting you and knowing exactly what you want and exactly what you want to see. So you go through Instagram and you scroll and you always see something you want to see, right? Always. There's always something that spikes your interest and spikes your dopamine receptors. This is because they've got so much information and so much data on you that they can perfectly, to the point of where they know exactly what you want to see, and they can project what you want to see and how long you're going to spend on their platforms. And they're using this to control society and control the world. Like social media companies now have more power than the governments. They have more power than the police, any sort of elite beings that there may be, right? They have more power than them because they have all of your data, they have everything you do, and you spend so much time on these platforms that they're constantly just gathering all this data to get you to spend more time, to watch more advertisements, and you're just becoming their commodity. That's all you are to them. You're just a sale, and it's reducing people to numbers. It's taking away people's drive, turning them into numbers, and we're losing our most valuable asset, which is our ability to concentrate and think critically. And they use it to push their own agendas. So like you think of it now, so that, say if there's like an election for like who's becoming the prime minister, what they can do, these social media algorithms can show you exactly what you want to see, so they can push you down a certain way. So we're suffering with a lot of society now where everyone's thinking the same, and this is because we get showing the same sort of media. So say if there's an election going on and there's this candidate there and that candidate there, depending on what your behaviours are online and what sort of things you're interested in, the social media algorithms are either going to show you the left politics or the right politics. It's like with the manosphere, like when everyone's watching Andrew Tate and getting really interested in it, they're just going to keep showing you more videos of Andrew Tate, showing you more videos of these like manosphere, right-wing people, and they might have a good message to a certain extent, but then because you're constantly seeing all this media of Andrew Tate, be a man, fuck women, all this shit, right? Because you're seeing that, you constantly believe that that is what everyone else should think, and then you stop thinking critically about what actually maps onto your reality. And people now lose their spark and lose their interest in what is actually maps onto their reality. You just see that, oh, Andrew Tate said this, or the government is saying this, all these people are saying this, and you lose your ability to look at things analytically. And this is like the basic Buddhist principle, is that look at things for truth. Try and see the objective truth and not through the opinions of others or the opinions of what you've been made to believe by social media. And to do this, you have to think analytically and critically, and you can't do this if you're getting a constant stream of information coming in, and you're not allowing your brain to come up with the right ideas about what you think is true. You're just believing in everything you're being told. And like this constant stream of information, this is not good for your brain either, because it's causing a thing called overstimulation. And due to this, like when we was evolving, it was good for us to be bored, because we evolved boredom to know when we needed to move on for a task. So say if we was out there like picking berries, right, and we've picked loads of berries from this tree, we would start getting the mechanism of boredom because it would be like, right, you've picked enough berries from this tree. It might be better off to you to go to another tree, or you go and do this. And it's about valuing your time. But if you're constantly distracting yourself and not allowing yourself to get bored, you're never valuing your time properly. So you get a little bit of boredom come up now. Instead of taking that as a notion that you should go out and achieve something, you should go to the gym, you should go and do something that values your life, you go straight on your phone and distract yourself with social media. And that's what it's not allowing us to do, because we've got this constant stream of information. We're never being bored, and we're never realizing that we're not utilizing our time correctly. And this is going to become a massive problem when people look up and they've aged 10 years, 20 years, and they've realized they've spent half their life scrolling through social media. It's really important to think, like, what could you achieve without the use of social media? So if you wasn't spending 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day on your phone, what could you do with that time? And I think you need to get clarity on that and realize where you want to go. Set some goals for yourself, and realizing how much social media is inhibiting you, because it's going to become a real problem when you start aging and you get responsibility and you're not going to have enough time to do what you want. And social media is just going to keep making you more distracted, wasting more of your time, and making you more incapable of doing what you want to do. And you get a lot of clarity by cutting away social media. It's really weird. So, like, because you're on social media and you're getting all the influence of other people, you're seeing this person getting shredded, you see this person in Thailand, all of this influences the way you think and believe and behave. And when you strip this back and get rid of social media, you start actually getting clarity on what you want to do. So you might really love playing the guitar, but because you're constantly seeing people push this like message of you need to go and earn money online, or pushing this message of like you need to go out and cold approach women, or you need to do this, environmental problems, all this shit that's coming in through social media, right? You're losing your main interest, which is playing the guitar, and that might be a fulfilling life for you. What's fulfilling for you is completely different to someone else. We're all unique individuals, and what social media is doing is putting us all in a box and making everyone think the same. And the people who are on this side and that side, it's creating a thing called tribalism, where the people who are on the right, the people who think differently, and people who think on the left are constantly battling against each other, because all they're seeing is this constant stream of information that reinforces what they think is true and what they believe to be the actual truth of reality. So yeah, like if you just want to go and pursue what you want to pursue, whether that be playing the guitar, whether that trading Pokemon cards, doing this and that, do what you want to do and not what others deem cool on social media, or not what everyone else is doing, because this comparison will ruin your dreams and kill everything you want to do. So I want to talk about how to actually use your phone for good, and how you can actually reduce your screen time but still use it productively, because I'm saying all this and slanting social media, but I'm also using the platform to grow and show people what I know and hopefully make a good impact in the world. And like, social media has been a massive blessing to society and a curse at the same time. And if used correctly, it can be used to spread a good message, and it can be used to help people show their creative side. It can be used for people to express themselves in ways that they'd never deemed possible. And people who are suffering with anxiety and depression, they can go on and meet someone from the opposite side of the world who they can relate to and they can share messages with. So like, you need to create on social media. So you've got two things. You've either got a consumer or a creator, and you can sit in the middle and be both, but it's very hard, because the more you use social media for destructive habits, the more you go onto a consumer. So you want to sit there and come up with a philosophy for what you want to use social media for. So what is the thing you're passionate about? What is something you want to share with the world? And create content and push it out there, because that's what people need. They need you to spread your message, not to consume random shit. And like, the more you push out a good message, people message you and then you see positive results in people. But you'll never know that if you're just constantly consuming. So pick something you're interested in and start throwing it out there on social media, whether that be your drawing, or you want to talk like me on a podcast about self-improvement, spirituality, whether it's fitness, whatever it may be, whatever you're doing well in your life and is productive for you, share it on social media and use it to help others, not just to mindlessly waste time. And the thing that's massive is, like, because you're on social media all the time, you're constantly stimulating your brain, you're getting stuck in a perpetual state of thought. And these thoughts are constantly like comparisons to others. But what you can do is, like, if you come away from your phone and start like meditating and being more mindful, you can be a lot more intentional with the way you think and act. And I found, like, as soon as I come off social media, my days seem longer, I make the right choices, I don't give in to my anxieties and depressions, I'm not thinking about like random people on Instagram. Like, I used to do this, I used to scroll through Instagram, and like, I used to picture myself being friends in that friends group, or I used to picture myself dating this girl, and like all I'm doing is reinforcing what I'm not. But as soon as I come off, I don't think of these people. I just see what's in front of me. I see literally the objective truth of like, I'm here right now. What can I do, instead of getting stuck in ruminating in the past or thinking in the future? So your ability to be mindful is correlated with how much social media you use. And when you're mindful, you're a lot more purposeful and you can make the right choices. And like, if you can use social media for that way, like you can come up with a philosophy of like, I'm going to use Instagram to show my drawings. I'm going to use Twitter to write some articles. I'm going to write a blog. I'm going to do this and that. If you can create like an actual system for how you want social media, it can free you up to live a crazy life, because like, there's people who are making 10 grand a month, 20 grand a month upwards. Or even there's people earning less but are making a living doing something they're passionate about, and that's something you can do if you utilize social media correctly. You don't have to be just a fucking NPC scrolling through TikTok or scrolling through Instagram. And talking about TikTok, right? This is one I want to talk about because this is evil. Like, if you're using TikTok, this is the worst one of them all, because it's made by China. So in China, right, they've got TikTok. And what they do is they show their kids like science projects. Like, you go onto the Chinese algorithm and it's all like science projects, it's really positive things. But then you go into the American and the westernized TikTok, which is UK, Canada, blah, blah, blah. And all it is women shaking their ass. It's all this degenerate fucking, all this degenerate stuff, right? And what they're doing is they're programming you to be a degenerate, and they're trying to get you as addicted to these platforms so you can't focus. And then they're doing that to destroy the West. So why are China showing their kids all the good stuff but showing the West all this negative, self-destructive stuff? Is because they're trying to destroy us from the inside out. And there's a book called The Art of War by some Chinese warrior in the fucking, this was like the 1300s, 1400s. And he said the best way to win a war is to have the opponents not realise that they're losing the war, they're losing the battle. And that's what's happening now. We are getting subtly controlled by these Chinese algorithms to become self-destructive and degenerates. And the whole values of the West is running out because we're all just sitting there on Instagram and scrolling through TikTok all day. But like, if you want to use Instagram for dating, or if you want to use Tinder for dating, or all these sort of things, you can do. But as I said before, you need to use them purposefully, because you can meet some amazing women on Instagram. You can meet some, whatever you're into, amazing blokes. I'm not going to judge. Whatever you're into, you can meet amazing people and you can socialise, but it's about using it intentionally and it's about using it correctly. So like, social media is a massive blessing, but it's also a massive curse. So yes, people, that's pretty much everything I've got to say. Like, social media is a really hard one because I know like how destructive it can be, and I still continue to use it. And that just goes to show like these people are investing billions of pounds to hijack our brain, and it's very hard and very difficult to escape from. But the more you get a grasp and an understanding of how these companies are working, I think the more you can separate from it and start acting intentionally. So that podcast might have been a bit all over the place. I've not done one in a while, and I think the consistency in anything's so key. Like, when I'm in a role and I've recorded like 4 or 5 podcasts in like 2 weeks, I find it flows a lot easier. And I've been doing the podcast off recently just because, I don't know, just laziness and procrastination. And I know for a fact, like, my last podcast dropped in views, and it's only because I wasn't consistent in posting. So yes, people, I'm going to record another podcast in a minute, actually, on my 10-day silent meditation retreat. So hopefully you'll find that one interesting. But this is going to go up first. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you all in the next video.